Welcome back to this show, this crazy end of the season show. I'm really looking forward to it. We are going to talk about the Chiefs, where they are, where they're going, some serious updates, and a look ahead at the bye week and what's coming right after it. Right now on RGR. Welcome back, everybody. It's going to be a fun show tonight. I have the headphones on because Dan should be able to make it here a little bit later. And I know we have a ton to talk about tonight, and we have some updates to get off right off the bat. But I want to make sure, because a member cannot be with us tonight, I want to just make sure that I get his question right off the bat, and then we'll get into where everything is, and I'll give you all the updates that I personally have. Chief Rocket is the man. How are you? I'm sorry you couldn't make it tonight, but appreciate the sentiment. We are working our tails off, and honestly, Dan and I are coming up with some pretty cool ideas about what we're going to do draft-wise and the whole run-up. So we will have some announcements. We might even have some new faces for you, so keep that in mind. I had a feeling you had a feeling that Rita would save some plays for the playoffs. I agree with you completely. Thanks for the super chat as well as being a member. And I wish you were here, but we'll catch up with you next time. I think it's very much in the cards that book that should be, this thick with new stuff. I think there's plenty left to come from Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, as well as Patrick Mahomes. And we're going to talk about Bieniemy coming up here in a couple of minutes because there is a lot to go over with his situation, where he is with the team, so on and so forth. Get my mic figured out here. Apologies, folks. And get this beer poured. So that said, tonight, want to say thank you to Ben Brewing. Waist Deep, their winter ale. It is a nice one. This is, again, one of my favorite genres of craft beer. And you can see more over at RGR Craft, where we do things like this. Pours with a great foam. And you can see all the reviews and stuff that we do over there with my partner, Mike Munhall, who's on that channel with me. If you're new to the channel, this is where we do all the Q&A. This is going to be your questions all night long as we go through here. At least an hour. We usually go over that, but we'll try to make sure that we get to everyone. So if you're new, make sure you click the like and the sub and the bell notification so you know what's going on and when we go live, when we put new videos out. Tomorrow night is the member stream. It will be this 6:30, I think. No, it'll be 7:30. Same time, you'll see the notification in the community tab. If you're a member or if you're not a member, it doesn't matter. If you want to see what's going on, click the community tab on this channel. Go back to the channel homepage and click community, and then you'll know everything that's going on. I make all the announcements there for all the member videos, all the member streams, all of that. If you want to become a member, that's the easiest way to support us because you get extra content for the help that you give us. If you want to just help us like Chief Rocket did tonight and do the super chats, we very much appreciate that. That's a great way to support us, and I want to make sure that on a night like tonight, that you ask a question and I get you an answer for it, because that's really important. We want to give you good customer satisfaction, we're going to call it. So that said, the last thing you can do is hit the link up there that should be in the chat menu. Hit the RGR store because there's always something going on in there, and there's a lot of new cool stuff. So I hope you guys will check that out, and that all supports us. We very much appreciate it. Looks like we have Jeff Porter. Looks like we have Aaron Morrow in here. Dan should be joining us. Danilo won't be here tonight. He's pretty busy during the week, but you should get 4 out of the 5 of us here on the staff currently. And we, like I said, we might have some hints coming at you here in a little bit. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything major before, or any super chats or anything before that. One from Chief Rocka. I don't want to skip anybody, and that will just kind of go forward from there. So if you have already asked a question, I apologize. Let me say right now, I'm going to need you to re-ask them because I've already lost a ton of stuff. It looks like there are a lot of comments that, because I just did that intro, that I missed. So I'm going to hit the super chats and we're going to go from there. And the next one came from Courtney Rotramel. I'm not sure. Thank you for the super chat and the support. And her question is, by the way, Spread the word. Love to see ladies on here. We don't have a huge group of ladies that come on here, but Ange and Nipper Girl and the girls that do, we have a good time. It's an open community. This isn't your classic kind of like ogre kind of community here on RGR. It's really great. It's really respectful. We even let fans from other teams come in. You know, we're pretty cool. So thank you for being here, Courtney. What can we do about the LBs? Will Willie Gay be back? And I know that's on a lot of folks' minds, so that's good that we're jumping into it right away. First, what we found out late this afternoon is a report from from Sam McDowell over at the Star, that he's got a source that says it is a high ankle sprain, like I told you guys like last night that it looked like, that they're expecting 2 to 4 weeks, which means the severity is about in the middle. A really slight, you can get away with maybe a week or two and call it good. And the severe high ankles, you generally take a month or so, maybe 6 weeks. So the fact that they're saying, and they're letting it get out that it's 2 to 4 weeks, that's a really good prognosis. He might be able to get in this first game. I'm not sure. That's probably pushing it. That 2-week window is, dead on to when they play next. I'm not saying, almost spilled it. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying it's a tight window. You might not see Willie this first game back. I do expect the Chiefs. I feel very good about their chances to go and run it back. That's what this video is about. That's why it's titled what it is. And so I don't expect that to be the end of the line. I think he will have opportunity to play again this season, whether it's this first week back or the following. So that's kind of where I'm at. In terms of the LBs, there's not much out there on the free agent market. There's not much else that can be done. You saw Damian come back. Like I said on social media, he was really rusty, but he got it out of his system. I expect him to be feeling pretty good after some treatment. I think he'll be back to normal. I expect Anthony Hitchens to be back. He was a close contact, as we understand. I'm not sure why the length of his holdout has been, or if they're just resting him, but I expect he'll be back. So I think you're going to have 2 of your starting linebackers. I don't know about Ben Neiman. We'll just have to see how that goes, and they will fill in accordingly from there. And that's really what I think that it is. So hope that answers your question, and we will see what we can see. Next super chat, so I don't make sure I miss any. What is Byron Pringle's ceiling? Maybe a comp. Byron, I don't think, and we're going to go over this here later, he is going to be an exclusive rights free agent. I expect him back. They're going to make a tender offer to him, and he will come back. Especially should they get to the Super Bowl again. So no, Kyle, I don't expect a comp pick for him because I don't expect him to leave. His ceiling, I think at the very highest, he's not going to beat out Hardman or Hill, so he could be the third. At the end of the day, I think Sammy comes back, and I think, like I said last night, I think he can be the fourth wide receiver in this offense next season. That's going to remain to be seen, but we will find out. I want to make sure Aaron didn't have anything that I needed to do. Alyssa, I want to get yours too, and I have 2 more super chats, and then we'll get into everybody's questions as we started the show. Do you think the Chiefs will start out slow since we rested our starters? Yeah, I think that's really the most likely scenario, Alyssa. And again, thanks for spreading the word. Glad that you're here. It just takes a little bit to get back in the groove, especially for those guys that were out, and all the offensive starters basically were out yesterday, going to be out next week. That 2 weeks is very good, and it's also a little bit to overcome when they first start back. So, okay, so Aaron is here. Aaron, you will shout at me when they come back. Let's see. Okay, Chad Johnson, thank you very much. If you're Ocho Cinco, we're going to need to have a long conversation more than just right now. But Chad, I appreciate it. That is a very generous contribution. Please come back and ask a question, though, because I want to get something for it. And I want you to get something for it. We very much appreciate the support. And I'm sure Dan does too, as well as Aaron and Jeff that are in the chat. Jeff, I have a new concept for you. Remind me to get with you after the show or tomorrow. And hey, we're on a roll. So Miss Natalie, since we're answering all the ladies' questions first, maybe we'll make that a thing. Ladies' questions first. We'll see if we can do that or if it has to stay chronological. But thank you, Natalie. Howdy from Louisville. Glad you're doing well. Hope you all had a great New Year's. Hope you did too. I'm glad that it's 2021. I feel I know it's weird, but I feel a little bit of relief being 2021. I know it's dumb. It hasn't really changed anything, but it's a new calendar year, and it just makes me feel a little bit better. It just is what it is. Okay, let's see. Looks like we have some others. Want to get those too. Neil. Oh, okay, got Natalie. Then Neil, and then we'll get into everybody's questions. Neil, thank you. I've been concerned about the Ravens for weeks. Nothing to lose, a lot to prove, and they have momentum. Thoughts on a Ravens-Chiefs rematch? Neil, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate the support. And I think you're right. I think they're a dangerous team. If they get their act together, they can put it all together and hurt somebody. I don't think it's going to be the Chiefs because, quite frankly, Lamar ran for nearly as many yards as he threw for yesterday. If you take away Andrews and you keep an eye on Hollywood, I don't think they have the firepower to keep up, even if you let Lamar run a little bit. I just don't see it. That said, I think Mahomes has kind of gotten their number, and they might be able to twist some things, come up with a new concept to confuse them a little bit. But I have faith in Patrick to figure it all out. I don't see that as a huge obstacle. That's the way I'll put it. Great question. Ian Roberts, how are you, bud? Any news on the extent of everyone's injuries? We'll get into the rest here in just a minute. I want to get the rest of the super chats in so everybody gets their money's worth. Thank you very much. Any news on CAH and Bell? Natalie, good question, and thank you again for the membership and the super chat. Very appreciative. CAH is going as indicated. No new update, which means he's continuing to progress. That it leaves me feeling like no concern whatsoever. I do believe he'll be good to go by the first playoff game, and he will be able to be available and functional, and I think he'll have an impact. Same with Bell. Bell was just held out as a precaution. He could have played yesterday. Not a problem. Same with Darrell. Darrell got, I think, 2 touches or 2 snaps. I can't remember which. Both of them are fine. Not a problem. CEH is a little more cloudy, but I think he's going to be fine. That's going to be something that we're just going to have to see when it comes. I'm not worried about it, though. And the last current super chat. Oh, 2 more. And then I'll go back and we'll start getting some questions. Hey, thanks, Daryl. I like it when you just want to say stuff. Daryl is one of our members, and I appreciate the super chat as well. And go Chiefs, back at you, bud. On kick returns. Oh, brother Rick, appreciate the super chat. On kick returns, although Hardman has been more straight line speed, Pringle has more juke moves like Cheetah. I would agree in general. He's got a little bit more side to side. I wouldn't call him jukes as much, but I'll tell you the guy that actually intrigues me is Fenton. Now what we heard, and I know everybody wants to hear about this, so we'll get to it here in just a second. What Andy said is that by the end of the game, Fenton's ankles were bothering him. That's not a specific injury. That's something that they get treatment for every week, like clockwork. That tells me that Fenton isn't injured. He's hurt. He's bothered. He's hurting. You know, there's that old SEAL saying, "Are you hurt? Are you injured?" I don't feel that he's injured. I think he doesn't feel great. But I think the rehab, Rick Burkholder's team will get him ready. I don't anticipate any problem with Rashad Fenton being available. And ready to play at his normal level, which I think is very high. So unless something happens when they start practice next week, which they'll probably get a little bit early, I want to say they'll start Tuesday if I remember correctly. We'll have an update on that here as we know for sure. So that said, that looks to be super chat. So I'm going to start back here from where I joined, and the first one that I saw when I came in was not a question, but it was Dave. Appreciate that. The rain is coming. That was not obviously the first one because that was wrong. It was Aaron's. So there's Aaron's, there's Samuel. Okay, so we're going to move forward. If you ask your question before this point, we're going to start from right here. So just type it out again. If you're new, or if you've forgotten, make sure you put the question marks at the beginning, just like you see here from Samuel. Thank you, Samuel. Do you think that Tim Ward made a case for being on the active roster in the postseason? I can't say that. I still think it's going to be Dana and Tano and Okafor and Frank. If somebody gets hurt in the first round, yes, they could bump him up. I think what it did do is it definitely ensured that he will be here again. I don't think he is one of the free agents. I have to double check. He's not even in my list, actually, because he is a practice squad player. I do think that it's warranted that what they've invested in him time-wise does seem to be progressing along. So I think he will be back and you will see him again next season. Super Devil Juice. In free agency, I haven't looked specifically at the guards. We're going to run down the Chiefs here in a little bit, but I'll take a look. I don't think there's a whole lot out there, but there could be a little bit. Keaton, would Andy really rest Mahomes and the crew if it wasn't absolutely confident? Everyone is freaking out. Yeah, there's a lot of folks saying, oh, they've only won by 4 points a game lately. It doesn't matter. Andy doesn't care. So, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. And the big team that all the talking heads seem to want to prop up as the one that's going to knock the Chiefs out is the Bills. And, hey, remember what they did to the Bills? So progression is great, but let's not get out of our heads, okay? Alyssa, thank you again. Who do you hope for at each stage of the playoffs? Man, I would have to go look at the bracket. But quite frankly, I think the Titans are a good team. The Chiefs stopped their run last week. And if they have to pass to win, Chiefs win going away. So I'm perfectly fine with them. The same thing is very much true of the Cleveland Browns. I'm not scared of them. The running game is impressive. But if the Chiefs can buckle down, do what they did against the Titans last year, I see the same thing. As good as Nick Chubb is, if you don't have any room to run, you don't have any room to run. And I think that they can affect Baker more than Baker can affect them. So I'm confident there. The team that has matchup issues for me is the Steelers, because their wide receiver group is one of the few that can outrun and outpace and get away from the Chiefs secondary. Chase Claypool scares me. And for those of you that were here for last draft season, you know exactly why. Because I told you he was going to be one of the biggest stars of this draft class because of his athletic ability, and he certainly proved that. So that's where it's at for me. Let's see. Samuel, realistically, how many coaches do you expect to lose in the offseason? I think EB is going to be gone. Eric Bieniemy will be a head coach. I think Mike Kafka might get an OC job somewhere else, and the Chiefs either have to decide to make him the same offer, make him the OC. He might even get a look at head coach, but doesn't seem to be getting any traction right now. And I think there is a very big push to try and level the playing field and get back to having more minority coaches. And so maybe he's going to be on the back burner for a bit. Justin, what do you think about Darwin's progress? I applaud him for taking his opportunity, the one that he's going to have this season, and making the most of it. I'm actually really happy with the way that he's progressed. There are folks that want to anoint him as the next starting running back. It's not even close, you guys. He is still the fourth running back. But what he did was take his opportunity and maximize it. So I'm very happy for him. And I think that earned him another year on the roster, to be quite honest. Gary Holland, old school around here. How are you, bud? Hardman's been disappointing. Seen the drafted up to get him. Oh, they traded up to get him. Where do you see Hardman in 2021? He'll be in exactly the same place. He will be fighting to become a number 2 wide receiver. I think Sammy's actually going to come back, to tell you the truth. So I think it's going to be largely the same crew. I think Pringle will replace Robbins, who I think who will land elsewhere. I know he's part of the Legion of Zoom and all that, and they seem to be those 4 very tight, but I think Pringle's in there as well. He's certainly got the speed for it. Devil Juice, they're not going to pick up a QB anytime soon. Do you think that the Bills will beat the Chiefs if they play? I absolutely do not. And Josh Allen is a guy that I have backed for quite a long time, and I think he's made improvement. The Chiefs utterly destroyed them earlier, and I don't see any reason, as long as you corral Stephon Diggs, that you can't put up 35 points and beat the Bills. The Bills will score. They might score 30, but I think the Chiefs will outscore them. I think that that's a win. If the Chiefs lose in the playoffs, will be due to LB play or O-line play. O-line play. The LBs cannot hurt them enough that will keep them from winning. See Spencer, Bieniemy is officially interviewing for several teams, really starting to look like he'll be gone. Yeah, there's no way he returns unless he just blows himself up in some way. I mean, he gets... Never mind. We're not even going to go in the negative. Brett, based on the tape from last year, who stepped up and deserves more snaps in the playoffs, and who to watch out for next year? I mean, I kind of made fun of it last night, but it's not a joke. If you go check out the pressers, the Chiefs put them on their YouTube channel as well as on their site. Go check out the presser of Ward. Tim Ward actually got asked a question, and he actually slipped and cussed a little bit. But he was asked, what was your impression of Colin Saunders' performance? He's like, man, he can play anywhere. And that's the kind of athleticism that shows. And I know he's had a rough season. The injury set him back behind Tershawn Wharton, and that's really what it came down to. If they can find a way to work him back into, and it's about having the guys active or not. If they can work him back in the lineup in some way, Colin Saunders deserves more snaps. I think Armani Watts played solidly yesterday too. And I do believe that Juan Thornhill's not 100%. He's still clearly the third free safety. He's the top free safety. He's the third safety. I think Armani could get some snaps as well. I think that's why a couple, however many weeks ago it was that I was confused as to why you let Tedrick Thompson go. That's why. I think Armani Watts has upped his game, and I think that's really great to see. Let's see. Stevie Keys, member question. How are you, buddy? I think 2 weeks gives them the benefit. It's not like they're going to be working. Exactly. And, as long as they're smart, and if I know Andy, they're being very, very, very smart in emphasizing you can't go out and screw around. You cannot take chances. And I think that is what it comes down to. As long as they're smart and they keep themselves straight off the field, I think they're going to be just fine. Drew Bell, how are you, bud? Do you think Kilgore starts at center in the playoffs? Unfortunately, I don't. I think Andy's going to stick with his guys. Andy Heck and Andy Reid are like to be consistent. I think Kilgore is one of their top 5 linemen. I'll just say that out loud. I just don't think they're going to make a switch now. They had time to do it. They've had all season to do it. They've had time to get Wiz in the starting lineup if that's what they wanted to do. They're going to treat those guys as the break glass, interior swing guys. If somebody goes down, they're there to step in. I don't think they're going to change it. Mr. Porter, who you're projecting the stars in the offensive line in 2 weeks. That feeds right in. Thank you, Jeff. I think they're going to go right back. They rested 5 guys on purpose. They're going to play those 5 guys. I think the best lineup for this team is as follows, though. Eric Fisher, Wiz at left. That's what I would do. Well, that's what I would have done 3 weeks ago when you had time to work Allegretti on the right. Now, Allegretti's got to stay there. Kilgore at center, Wiz at the other guard, and Remmers if you have to. Love to have Mitch Schwartz back. I don't have any insight on Mitch Schwartz. I get asked every day, and I still don't know anything. I don't know his agent. I don't know anybody in contact with him. I don't know what's going on with Mitch Schwartz, and I don't think they do either. So that's where we're at. Lucky Croc, how do you feel about the O-line? I think they're going to be fine. I think they have the depth. I think it's going to be their game. They're not going to blow anybody off the ball, but they're going to do their thing, and I think they're comfortable with that. Cole, how are you? Member question, do you think that EB, who does deserve to be a head coach, is necessarily interested in any of the specific openings? I think he should wait for the right fit. I think he's intrigued. I don't know that he's like super. If the Broncos job was open, I think he would want that. That's a return home for him. I've talked about that all season. It came out today. Elway is taking himself out of the VP role, or he's just taking the VP role out of the GM role. They say everyone I know in Denver says for sure. Cody says it. Albright says it. They all swear that Vic is staying. If a GM comes in that just doesn't want Vic, there still could be a change. But it seems that it's 99% there. All the guys that I trust who have connections in the Denver area into the organization say that Vic's there. So I don't think it's going to be that. Now, that said, if you're Eric Bieniemy, what do you want? You want a primetime quarterback you can build around. There's Deshaun Watson out there. There's Justin Herbert out there. The Houston organization doesn't have anything you can build with. They don't have draft picks. They don't have much cap room. The same 2 things are totally different for the Chargers organization, but it's in division against Andy, and I think that carries a lot of weight. I don't think Andy would keep him from taking a job or ask him not to take a job within the division if he got a shot at it, but I can't say that he will. So I think that's what it is. I think Atlanta's interesting. They're a good organization. They give you time. You have Matt Ryan as a transition, but you don't have any prospect of getting a franchise quarterback. So I think that's less of a positive for me. Hey, bud, it's all about the matchups of the playoff game. What upset do you see this weekend in the AFC? That is a great question, Jeff. And unfortunately, not one that I'm going to be able to answer because I don't have the matchups in front of me. I have a couple of things queued up here. And maybe Dan will know because Dan just popped in, and so I'm just going to throw him right in here. Welcome to the fire. So our partner in crime, Mr. Porter, says matchups. Who do you think can pull off an upset this week in the AFC?
On the AFC? Oh, man.
Because I can't pull it up in front of me. I got other stuff there.
The only team that I thought might have a chance was the Colts, but then you think about Phillip Rivers going into the cold in Buffalo, and that does not make for anything. I do think, however, that the Browns have a chance to beat the Steelers because Big Ben is just not good. They can't run the football, and they can't really throw the ball down the field without Mason Rudolph, which you kind of saw on Sunday, and Ben can't do that. Granted, their defense can be had, the Browns, that is, and they just lost Olivier Vernon too. So, I mean, they have a chance, I think, if they can get the run game going with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You can get a couple play action passes downfield for guys like Higgins and Landry and possibly Donovan Peoples-Jones if he's healthy. So that's the matchup that I think has the best potential for an upset.
Okay. And I talked about that a little while ago. I don't feel that the Cleveland Browns have any kind of matchup advantage on the Chiefs. I think they can shut down their run if they have to. But the Steelers wide receivers scare me against the secondary because they do have the one thing.
Because Big Ben can't get it downfield.
Well, and that's a fair point. But just in terms of getting loose, if he decided to pull the best game of his life out of his rear, like that's where I'm a little bit worried matchup wise. So, and
I can understand that, but what I would do, since they can't run the football, I would just play dime defense all day and force them to run the football since they can't do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Metal Rocker. I don't think a tight end is in the offing anywhere in the first 2 days. Day 3 guy, sure, but I think that Clemson guy will be gone. I can't even remember his name. Bert, thank you for bringing this up. I meant to hit this earlier, and I appreciate your patience. So here's the update. They had surgery last night for Baker. That generally tells you that immediacy is that the break was significant. It was, I can't give you the percentage, but it was bleeding enough. It's one of the things that you worry about with a femoral break is that you're going to have compartment syndrome, get a lot of blood in there. And so it was definitely something they had to attack. Seems they did. Andy said it went really well, and that they've done what they need to do. Could be a rod, could be plates and screws. You never know. But it looks like he may be available come training camp.
Yeah, that's insane.
It is. But the good thing is what it tells you is that he didn't cut any arteries or nerves.
Yeah.
That he had very limited tissue damage, and that's what's really important because that's where the athleticism comes from. So it looks like he should be able to recover. It was very positive day today.
It kind of makes sense that he didn't do any of that because there was no impact. It was just a non-contact break. So It makes sense that there was no other damage outside of just what broke.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's a very good point. The non-contact is actually a plus in this scenario. FLDB, I don't know. I think Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. If he thinks he can put it downfield, he's going to put it downfield.
Yeah, this is what we've talked a little bit about when he kind of zeroes in. If their defense is playing the way that we've seen them in the past couple weeks, try to take all that stuff away, he's going to change. And I think that Clyde, speaking of this next question just pops up, I think Clyde's going to be active for this postseason. I think that they're going to do everything they can to expose defenses when they try to take away the deep shot. And he's going to be heavily involved in that, in my opinion.
Yeah, good point. And Adam, I think I covered it probably after you asked this question, but I have no information. I know no one that's giving me any information on Schwartz. Samuel, I'd be interested. The fantasy doctors, I don't know them. I don't know if they have any medical background, but from my medical background, that would certainly be the case if it's just a simple repair of either a rod or plate. The bone should knit here in about 3 months, and you can start rehabbing and getting back into shape. I'm very happy with what they announced today. Yeah. Maximo, thank you for your support. I appreciate it. Aaron, our fearless mod, folks, give him a hand if you haven't already. Do you have a timeline for Jody Fortson being a tight end 2 for the Chiefs? 2026? I don't know.
No, next season. Grant has got to put on like
20 pounds,
25 to 30 pounds.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would love to see it. I don't think anything's guaranteed. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Samuel. Yeah, okay, so we covered that. I'd take the 32nd pick. Odell Beckham is not somebody that enhances your team camaraderie.
You can kind of see it with the Browns.
Yeah. What's he done for them? I mean, Jarvis has been more of an impact for that team. That should tell you everything you need to know.
Good the last 7 weeks.
Yep.
Even Donovan Peoples-Jones has been really good for that team. He stretches the field just like Odell did, and he's been a little bit more productive than him. So
yeah.
That's what I wanted.
I think Armani helped himself a little bit in terms of playtime. I don't know about stock. He's not going anywhere.
I'm not entirely sure he's on the team next year anyway, so.
Fair enough. Aaron,
no.
I mean, unless a team is full of Denzel Perrimans, no. If you got 11 of them out there, maybe. No. But no, I mean, like I said earlier, good for Darwin. He took the most of his opportunity and maximized it. I felt like he played good. I thought he ran hard. He's still the fourth running back in terms of talent, in terms of production, in terms of everything. He's still just a deep backup.
Yep, and you saw the reason he's kind of not getting much playing time. His ball security is an issue. It is an issue. He dropped the pass that Byron Pringle was fortunate enough to catch. He was there in the time. He fumbled a couple different times. It's an issue, and unfortunately, when you have something that continues to show up every time you play, that's something that's you're not going to see the field very much, especially when they're drafting guys like Clyde who don't really fumble the football.
And I'll tell you this, for a guy who's very similar size to Clyde, he doesn't move the pocket well. He nearly got taken down for that safety. I just don't think he's situationally aware enough. I'm very happy for him. I know he had an emotional statement about his JUCO coach. Good for him. Like I said, he's made the most of his opportunity. I think he's a very good special teamer. But no, he's not anybody that's taking snaps from Clyde or Bell or even Daryl. So, I mean, and y'all know how I feel about Daryl. I'm not trying to be specific about him, but he's a better all-around back. That's just the thing of it. Jonathan, Dan and I have actually been discussing about building our boards and who we're going to look at first. And Zaven is definitely on my list, but I'm going to tell you this right now. You're going to see a ton of analysts put him up there in the top 3. And until he proves it against competition that I can actually give that kind of grade to, I'm going to be reluctant to have him up there as a first-round pick just because of where he plays.
I don't remember who that is, to be honest with you.
I think it's Tulsa.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. There's a lot of that kind of talk. You've got guys out of North Dakota State that are being talked about, guys out of Tulsa. Even some of these guys, for example, Zach Wilson, who's had a really, really good season as the quarterback out of
BYU.
But you have to look at some of the competition too. Yeah, he makes a lot of really good plays, but I think you also have to take some of that context. So it's also a one-year thing. So there's a lot of things you have to kind of look into, especially with smaller school guys. You have to be able to see, are they the most dominant player on the field out of everybody, both sides? And that's how you can start to then look at a prospect out of a smaller school and say, yeah, he can project into the NFL as long as he looks the part. And that's the kind of thing you have to really figure out with these guys.
And that's where it's subjective. And Dan and I are a little harder on that than most analysts that I know. And honestly, this goes back to Darwin. Darwin was that guy that was dominant on the field for Utah State.
Exactly.
That plays at a lower level. Right. And so it all weighs in, so we will get to that. I promise you. P-Zone, welcome to the memberships. Guys, just another reminder, we're doing a member only live stream tomorrow night. If you are starter and above, go check that out. It should be interesting. I swear I will cuss a lot more than I do here. Let's see who's next. Who will win MVP? Alyssa, I appreciate the question, and it's not homerism. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. I'm just saying this. Dan, do you disagree with me?
I do. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, guys.
But should it be is my question.
Because the award is won based on statistics, yes, it is.
Okay.
He's got more touchdowns. Now that he got the 1 seed, I think that just locks it up for him. That's just kind of how I feel it goes. Yardage doesn't get looked at as touchdowns do.
Yeah. Whatever. I hate it when you make sense.
I know.
Stevie Keys, I'm sure you'll ask this again tomorrow night, and you'll probably yell at me. But you know the answer. I am not a running back in the first round guy. The fact that it's 32 and the fact that Clyde is such a good fit was the exception to the rule. I can't say that I would have drafted Claypool in the first round either, though. So it's a rub. But you guys know how I feel about Claypool.
Yeah, I'm going to just let you guys in on my personal opinion on looking back at the drafts. I don't do it. You have draft picks. Yeah, cool. They're a bunch of could have had George Kittle. Like you can't be looking back and say, oh, you could have had this. No, you couldn't have because it didn't happen, and there's no way it could have happened. So I'll never do it.
At the end of the day, you have not only we but the teams have to go with the information and the feeling that they have at the time. Yeah. It's very difficult to second guess that. So I'm with you there. Geek on Harley, welcome to the memberships. Nice to see you. You're going to have to send us a picture of that Harley or something, man.
Thank you.
Aaron Todd Adventures, how are you? Is it me or is Hardman not our punt returner? I don't think so. I think they're going to try to find somebody. Fenton, Pringle, I think let Hardman be Hardman on the offense, please.
Yeah, Hardman's kind of being an interesting case right now. I thought yesterday would be an opportunity for him to really kind of be a part of the offense, and they used him the same way that they have to this point. Get in the ball quick out of the backfield, didn't ask him to run very many different routes.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting situation they found themselves in with their second round draft pick.
I'm with you. Oh,
That's all I'll
yes.
say.
By the way, COVID will affect 2021 draft choices. There are some guys that haven't even played. Micah Parsons is going to be the top linebacker probably still, but you never know. Recency of film makes a difference in a lot of teams' minds. But Metal Rocker, I'm sorry I missed this the first time. Just wanted to give you my personal 3-round draft for. It's going to be either pass rusher or wide receiver, second round O-line, third round DE. What's yours? Let's see, corner. No, guys, there's still high end positions. You got the quarterback. They need pass rush for a D end. They need a shutdown corner to go across from Snead. And yes, I did say that. And
exactly,
those two come before interior offensive linemen, even before tackles, because I think Fisher is okay for another couple of years. I think it's the right tackle you're trying to figure out. You got Niang in there. You now have Durant that you feel can move up there. So it's not the highest priority. But an LB that can cover and still take on the run, that might be up there. What do you got, Dan?
So I don't think they're going to take a linebacker in the first round or first 3 rounds this year. I think they might look to develop a guy later just because you're going to have your 2 linebackers on the field next year in Anthony Hitchens and Willie Gay. And they'll probably try to find someone else that they can fit in, whether it's a Ben Neiman or someone else through the draft. But I fully expect, especially if they don't bring Sammy Watkins back and DeMarcus Robinson, that they're going to take a wide receiver in the first round, considering how deep it is and the talent is in that first round. That's when I would love to see them go for interior offensive line in the second round, because I fully believe they need to get a center that can start and that has the talent to be a full-time starting center. They don't have that. They haven't had that since Mitch Morse. And so that's what it is for me. And then I agree with third round being a defensive end. You need to get another guy that's got probably some more speed rush to him, because the fact of the matter is they have some defensive ends that are just big bodies and that take some time to develop, and you need stunts to be able to get them working. So you need some more speed on the edge.
Yes, I agree. And the question is going to be who's there for the center class. So we'll get into that. And folks, we're making plans. We're going to have a ton for you. Aaron is highlighting the question. So let me run everybody through this. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's see, or at least an application window. Let's see if I can do this in the most economical way. Hey, look at that. Okay. So here's the thing. Draft pick. That's the basic entry level. You get to be in here. You get discounts on all the merch. You get the custom emojis, and you get the badges. You get up to the rookies. That's where you get the members only videos, the stuff that I shoot. And also you get put into those lists that I do every month about who our biggest supporters are. When you get to starter level in here, that's when you hit members only live streams. It's very much smaller. It's like less than 50 people. So the conversation gets a lot more specific. And then you get up to all pro. That's when you get to do Zoom with us. In fact, last time we had the whole staff except for Danilo. It was great. We're going to do that again next month. That will be next week, everybody. And then when you get up to Gooch's level, you get the one-on-ones. So, Gooch is Gooch. That's the way that works. But thanks for asking that, Aaron. I always forget to point that out. So, Sam Ellison, do you think the Chiefs not starting Darrell Williams at center shows that he's not ready? That's the most likely indication.
He's an undrafted free agent. I would imagine so.
Yeah. Gary Holland, I think they draft a tight end at some point, especially depending on the comp picks, how many they get. But I do think it's a day 3, and I don't think that means that they get on the field.
Yeah, I want you guys to really think about the last tight end that they drafted that wasn't Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is going to be on this team for the next 5 years. Like, he's in for the next 5 years, and I fully believe he's going to be highly productive for at least the next 4. So they're not really looking for that tight end of the future right now. So third, day 3, undrafted free agents is definitely going to be where they're looking, in my opinion.
And P-Zone, one of our newest members, brings up the question that I've kind of been waiting on. So I'm going to share with you guys another screen as I pull it up here, because this is what we're looking at. And I've been referring to this for a couple of weeks, but I haven't been, really shouting it out. This is the one. Bam. Let's look at this. Let me hit this real quick. Okay. Give us more of a view. So here's where we go. This 24 free agents on this roster right now that have some kind of availability. Now, granted, most of them are just open free agents. There are a couple of rights guys. Alex Brown's one. We have some Ben Neiman, Daryl, Wiley. They're all restricted rights. So they can make an offer, a tender offer, and that generally is going to seal down any chance of them leaving. So you're going to get some of those guys back. Byron Pringle is an exclusive rights. He can only negotiate with the Chiefs. He's going to be back. But man, when you look at certain position groups, and I already did sort this. Both the centers are on here.
Yep.
There's 4 cornerbacks on here. There's 3 defensive ends, and there's 3 wideouts, you guys. There's a lot of things that are going to change. So it is concerning, but it's the nature of the beast. A lot of these guys have had their development time, and I feel like they've probably lived through it and are going to be in a position where the Chiefs can look for younger talent. What do you think, Dan?
That's exactly what I think they're going to have to do too. You have to get younger. You have to get a bit cheaper. Guys like Taco Charlton and Sammy Watkins, I think they're going to attempt to bring back. Maybe Damian Wilson. That will depend on his number on coming back or not, because he's not really played up to a $2 million contract, in my opinion. But we'll see.
I'm with you.
Osemele's probably a guy they try to bring back too.
True. That's a good
assuming
point.
He can ever play to the level he was at.
We'll see. Lucky Croc, bring in Anthony Lynn if you lose EB and Kafka. I think they will, and I don't think they will bring in Lynn. He's going to be either a head coach or an OC somewhere. I don't think he fits in with what Andy does, to tell you the truth. It's going to be Blameyer, in my opinion. Yeah,
Anthony Lynn does not seem like a coach kind of guy to me. He seems more like a front office guy. Just I don't feel like he's not, and that's not to say anything bad about him as a coach. I feel like, especially as a head coach, he's got some really bad shortcomings in his on-field decision-making. So, Granted, people in the organizations tend to love him. I know that the Chargers had a hard time making this decision, especially with the way that the players came in and played for him down the stretch. So he's a guy people tend to rally around. They definitely like. So keeping him in a building is definitely – he's going to find himself in a job pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, I agree. He is a leader. He is a motivational guy, a lot like Eric Bieniemy. The difference is that Bieniemy, I think, does X's and O's better. And quite frankly, I think Eric Bieniemy, when able to, or at least when observing Reed, actually manages things a little bit better. I think that's Anthony Lynn's shortfall.
Let's hope so.
That's just me. Jacob, LDT is much better than Wiley at guard. Wiley is a better tackle.
He is a tackle. He's not a guard.
Well, and
as we've learned,
is not.
As we've learned.
Maximo Antonio went out and got his jock handed back to him.
I was about to say, you guys saw him yesterday.
Right.
He fell on the field. He fell down.
Josh O'Neill, could Darius Harris be a starting LB in the future? I don't think so. He got a shot yesterday. I thought he looked a lot less confident, a lot less instinctive when he had to be the guy out there. I think he could fit in amongst others, but I don't think he's a starter, in my opinion.
I don't believe so. And he does not have the speed really to be on the field all the time. And that's something you need for starters. And Anthony Hitchens doesn't have top end speed, but he can, when he makes a decision, you can see him actually go. When Harris goes, it was not very fast. And that was one of the unfortunate things you could see. He's got talent, I think. And I think we saw a little bit of that in terms of instincts and kind of playing around the football, because he does seem to be around it. He's just not as click and close as you would really want to see in a linebacker of the future.
And click and close, for those who are not familiar with scouting terms, is be able to register and go. It's not that acceleration that he has. It's still processing time, standing still, or at least moving, scraping before you actually turn tail and run. That's important.
Want to scrape? Colin Saunders.
Right? Yes, he can.
He's great.
Like a dancing damn bear. That guy, I'm telling you what. In fact, folks, I'll tell you right now, I've been toying with the idea all day. I'm doing Colin Saunders on the breakdown this week.
There you go.
To it. Yeah, it's going to be great. And you guys have already probably seen some of it. Check out Craig Stout on Twitter. He's already thrown a few out there. I'll dig deep because Colin needs to be on the field. I'm just saying.
It's so good, man.
God, I mean, you want to stop the run? Pennell, Noddy, Saunders triangle.
Boom.
Bring it, bro.
That's it. And you could see that he's still got the strength, because he had multiple times where he extended his arms. And even a guy like Dan Feeney, who's a good center, could not do anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, I would be tempted to throw him out there as the one backer dime just to stop all the interior runs. I would seriously be tempted to do that. He can drop into his zone at 8 yards without a problem.
He did too. He's so fluid for a guy that's listed at 320 pounds, guys.
I mean, he's almost as athletic as me. That's a joke, folks. I'm terrible.
It is a joke.
I wasn't that good when I was his age.
Oh, man.
But, Eric, I'm with you. I do feel like they've been kind of waiting, and I think they kind of lulled us to sleep. I thought they were going to jump at the bye. I think they're just waiting for the playoffs, and I think they are going to jump.
I think they've seen how they had to play this year, and they're just kind of like, we know what it takes to win when we have to turn it on.
Yeah. Maximo, yeah, I expect Hitch will be out there for the first in every playoff game.
I think he has to be, even if he's not fully 100%. They've lost a couple guys, and Willie Gay is looking like he's going to miss about 3 weeks. That's not good.
Cody, I was in either strength and conditioning with a team or physiological development as in my own business for 18 years. I saw one. That kind of tells you.
Rare.
It really is. It is not a Tib Fib frac. It is not, a Liz Frank ankle fracture, even though those are all still bone fractures. This is pretty rare. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm not an athletic trainer, though. That's what they deal with. Thank God I didn't ever have to do that. Who do you think we'll take with the 32nd pick? Pat Surtain. Just saying.
Of course, he loves Pat Surtain.
I do.
You're going to hear the name a lot over the next 4 months, guys.
You're going to get tired of it.
I already am. So.
I know you are. This is going to be great because we're going to have arguments. It's going to be fun, folks. But Daryl, thank you again for another super chat. You rock. What free agent would you like the Chiefs to pick up next year, James? Good question. I would love to see if there was a guard out there. In fact, Dan, what would you prioritize in free agency? Because they won't have much to spend.
I think that they're going to have to go within to some of their free agents. Like guys like Taco Charlton's probably going to be ideal if he's back healthy. That's going to be something they definitely look at. I don't know the full list of free agents. I know there's a ton of talent coming out too, and you might be able to get some wide receivers that aren't necessarily, guys like Marvin Jones, for example, who's probably going to be losing his starting quarterback in Matt Stafford in Detroit. He's a free agent this coming season. So you might be able to find a way to get him for pretty cheap to help fill an X void if you don't want to, draft a receiver in the first round. And Marvin Jones is a guy that can definitely get open with guys like Tyreek and Travis Kelce. He's doing it right now with nobody else on the field. Yeah. So it's an option. There's going to be a ton of free agents this year. We don't even know half of them because cuts are going to have to be made before the draft. They're going to have to do a bunch of things depending on what the cap's like. So
there is, and I'm looking at the free agent list here. I'll try to share this again real quick. Just at the guard free agent list, and folks, this is not everything because there will be cuts made to get under the cap. There are guys that will be available, but the one that stands out to me being young enough and being a guy that I felt could play in this offense coming out is Forrest Lamp. He has not developed. He is not as good as Dan Feeney right now in that system in San Diego, I almost said. But I do feel like he's somebody who could come in and go back to his former self in being the zone athletic guy that I think could play.
That makes sense. I would love to get some of the guys up top there, but they're just going to be too expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Joe Tooney shows up. I'll take him at 28 over just about anybody.
Yep.
Let's see. Thoughts on we're not going to go into specifics because we haven't looked at any of these guys. At least I haven't.
So, I haven't seen much of Terrence Marshall, just a little bit here and there.
Gale Sayers would be all world. Gale Sayers would make you forget Jim Brown if he was in this offense.
It's so true. There's a lot of running backs that would do that in this offense, though.
Rock chalk, everybody. That is a biased opinion, I admit. Hey, from the UK, Jadu Smith. I mean Dan Garden 17. Thank you for the super chat. Jadu Smith is a free agent. Would you target him to bring in another TE threat, if not anyone else for that role? Jadu Smith is interesting, but I think he's earned himself the return that I think they are going to give him. I do expect him to go back to Tennessee. The interesting one is Njoku's had been up and down in the Browns. In this offense, I would like to see him.
It would make sense, and he's definitely someone who could stretch the field, can add a bigger blocking threat. He's not, an all-world blocker by any stretch of the imagination, but you're talking about guys who play 2 tight end sets that have the athleticism to still stretch the field. He definitely does that. And if he definitely wants out of Cleveland, he made every effort to say he wanted to, and now he's back in the offense. He's made a couple good catches with him recently, so who knows, man?
Yeah, it's whether they value him or not. It's pretty clear he's saying what he needs to say. So we'll find out. Infopocalypse. Remmers might come back on a similar contract. He's quickly reaching the end of his rope, though. I'm not sure how much he has left in him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back and just be what he was this year, but hopefully not have to play as much as he had to play, because I think that what we're seeing right now is the peak of what he can play, and it might be the last time you ever see it.
Yeah, it may actually be. Isaiah, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. First round edge rusher, second round interior O-line, third, fourth, fifth interior O-line, LB wide receiver. It could work. I just don't know if there's guys that are going to be there for those grades. A 32nd pick edge rusher, that doesn't really ring true to me.
It's probably not going to happen. There's this edge rushing class. It isn't that deep to begin with.
Yeah.
And the guys that at the beginning of the season that would have been there, like Kwity Paye, just earned himself a top probably 2015 draft pick, because Kwity Paye is going to be flying up the board, guys. Just want to let you know that.
Which school is he from?
Michigan.
Okay. That's because I don't trust guys from Miami. So I'm just saying that out loud.
That's Miami. That's not Michigan.
That's right. I grew up in the convict versus Catholic era. I haven't changed. So I'm not going to guys from Miami, and I think they have 2 pass rushers.
They do. Quincy Roche, I know, is one who's probably going to go top 10.
15? Okay.
Top 15. He's going to be up there. But Kwity Paye is an athletic freak, and unfortunately, he went back for this year at Michigan, and he absolutely blew it up in terms of pressures. Like, that's the one thing you wanted to see him do, and he did that. So he was going to be around the 32nd pick this coming year before the weird season the Big Ten had. But yeah, he's probably going to be gone way before then now.
Yeah, I think so too. Good question, Gary. Why do they have problems drafting defensive players? I wouldn't say that they have problems. I would say that they have a tendency, and mostly because I'd have to check, but I believe Ryan Nutt played offense. Brett Veach was a wide receiver. I think they have a tendency to lock onto a aspect, a trait that they really like in the defenders, like Breeland Speaks. They fell for him for some reason. I wouldn't even tell you which aspect it was, but I think that has a tendency to kind of cloud them a little bit more than say a GM that comes from the defensive side. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think we're kind of seeing a little bit different in terms of Spags got his full season in this coaching staff, and now we're seeing a little bit of change in the defensive players and more production in the defensive players. This last draft has been a great defensive draft for them, and I think we're kind of seeing maybe Spags get a little bit more in tune with how things are going now in the NFL. You get 2 guys like a Willie Gay and Snead who are not just a one-type guy. He's an all-around linebacker, and Snead is an all-around corner. So that seems to be where the disconnect was, where he was talking about earlier in the years of them drafting. They seem to be closing that gap a little bit with breaking out of, I want just this specific trait. Now we're seeing a little bit more in terms of trying to get all-around players that actually have potential to be more than what they are.
And Brett, Ryan, and Pat Sperduto, if you're watching, the Matrix will help. I'm telling you.
He's not lying.
We'll talk soon. Eric, I am concerned about UEFA's leaving, because free agency is a way that you're kind of running the risk. You have to have enough low-cost players to make up for your stars, but you got to be able to protect your stars too, especially along the lines. That's the concern. But I will say this. There's a trade-off. Belichick did this for years. When you let good players go, you generally get a comp pick or 2 back. That will help, and I think it will offset some of that. There is a draw to come play with Mahomes, but that's for the veteran types. It doesn't help you retain guys that are looking to get that big contract, because the Chiefs don't have big contracts to give.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's perfectly.
So you're not thinking any other way.
No, that's exactly how you said it. It's more for guys that are not necessarily twilight of their careers, but we're talking about late 20s, 30s type players that are looking to win a Super Bowl that haven't yet.
Yeah. Like spend every last ounce of talent they have to get that ring. That's what they're here for.
Yep.
Prologue ATL7. I have no idea. I'm trying not to be
Makes
frustrated.
no sense.
I know. It is what it is. Bruce 3030, thank you very much for the super chat. Do you see any big splashes this offseason via trade, free agency, or trade up in the draft? I think the only big thing that should happen is a restructure of Frank's contract. That's what I think. What do you got, Dan?
I see this being a very quiet offseason.
Yeah.
Very quiet. And in the draft, I don't expect them to trade up in the first round, at least not very far. If they do, I feel like they need to do that more in the second, third, fourth round if they want to get some guys that they really want. The first round, you're just going to be giving up some picks that you can use to get more talent, especially when you're going to have to fill out a roster, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Evan, can Neiman develop into a viable linebacker? Neiman's developed about as far as he's going to. He's a super smart player. And in relief, he's a perfect backup, but he isn't a game changer. He's never been a game changer. He's a solid guy that can carry out his assignment. And quite frankly, he seems pretty heady. When they trust him to be the guy that comes in with the dot after Hitch, that means that they trust him too. That's a significant factor, but he's never going to be an X factor.
Yeah, he's the reason you're seeing him on the field much because he knows the playbook and he knows it inside and out. And he's one of the most prepared guys on the field. He's not one of the most athletic. He never has been. He's not going to get more athletic as he gets older, guys.
Aaron, good question. Someday I will talk Chris into appearing on this show. Chris does not like to do video. Same with Seth. So those two guys are ducking me like mad. They're happy with the audio, and that's the way it's going to be. Brit Chief, Brad and I have tried a couple of times, but doing Zoom across the ocean doesn't seem to work. I have a pretty terrible connection. You guys know that. Hopefully when I get upgraded, we can fix that. Brad's still doing his channel, so he's got plenty of content. Make sure you go watch Brad. But we have talked about collaborating at some point when we can get it done. Let's see. Are they still paying Eric Berry? Eric comes off the books this year.
Yep.
Let's see. Are you concerned about the drops? I'm always concerned about drops. Wide receivers have one job, in my opinion, catch the ball when thrown.
They also got a block.
Donald, you're not an idiot. You don't see a community tab. Let me see if I can show everybody because that's kind of important. Okay, so flip this back and show this. Here, I'll even maximize her. How you like them apples? Okay, so here is RGR. This is the homepage. Oh, ignore my analytics here, you guys. This is how I track stuff. So here's the homepage. You have videos, you have playlists, then you have community. This is the community tab. Everything that I do for the member exclusives, for any of the other updates, they all come through here. This is how you get notified because they don't have member-specific notifications. And they don't have notifications just to tell people, hey, this is what I'm doing. So it's whether you have the whole channel notified or not. And then you have the membership tab. That's where you actually go to sign up. So give that a shot and see if that works better for you. Okay, Dom? Let me go back to our normal screen. There we go. Ruthless Monk. Super concerned about Juan and should be considered getting a safety. I think they have to get a safety in this draft. Sorensen should be gone. Tyron's got to get a contract. You have Watts, who may or may not be here, maybe just out of attrition. I think Juan will actually be better next year. He'll be a full year removed from the injury. I'm not concerned about him, but they need a third and a fourth.
Yeah, I think people kind of took Bo Peak, he's getting beat, and Thornhill not being there as him just not having the speed. But if you watch that play specifically, he's pretty up close to the line. He's maybe 10, 12 yards off the line of scrimmage, maybe close to 15. But they were doing a blitz on that play. That's one of the plays that Colin Saunders actually blitzed as a linebacker. So they expected to get pressure and wouldn't allow the Chargers to get one of those deep shots. But Guyton has 4.37, 4.39 speed. He's a burner, and Bo Peak Keys doesn't have that either. So when they didn't get the immediate pressure they thought they were going to get, that put everyone in a bad position because Guyton's got that 4.3-ish speed, and as soon as they got behind him, there was nothing that even Thornhill at full speed could have done to get back there.
Yeah, I agree. Drew, it's really, really unlikely. I'm just, when I like a guy, I like a guy.
Don't get too upset if he doesn't. He's an Alabama corner.
Yeah, well, and you saw me do it with an Alabama corner last year too. Look what Diggs did. So get off my case. Monkey Poo, you got a very good point. Scherf is a very good guard. He's uber expensive for what they can spend. They will not be getting him. Let's see who else here. And by the way, like the name there, Monkey Poo. Got that one. Ian, how are you, bud? That answered my question about Saunders at LB. If you lost some weight, kind of, haha. Yeah. I mean, yeah. He's doing this at 340 pounds, you guys. He's listed at 320. Bull, he's listed at 320. He clearly gained 20 pounds of gates.
I don't think if he's 340 pounds and he's moving like that, then there's something ridiculously abstract and off about his makeup. Like, you should not be able to do those things at 340 pounds.
The man can do backflips, bro. I'm telling you, Colin, you let me know what you weigh, because I'm nothing against you. You hurt an elbow, you got to eat some barbecue. I get it. But it ain't 322 no more. I guarantee that too.
Man.
Oh, Max, I love the way you think, but no way. He will never be anything but a Steeler.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ian again. Do we need a petition to send the KG coaching staff about our outline? You can send it all you want. They don't care. Nothing's ever going to change. They're going to go light and athletic over everything else, and they don't care about knocking guys off the ball.
I think we're seeing a little bit of a change, but for the most part, yeah.
I want to believe that. I just refuse to let myself until it happens. Assembly was a change in that direction. Kilgore is a change in that direction. One was intriguing.
Allegretti, who they drafted.
Yeah, but he can play the zone too. Like,
he can play it, but he's not. He's a bigger guy,
right?
That isn't as athletic as a Ryder or a Wiley. That gets more movement in the run game than they had traditionally gone for. So I try to just say that that's what they're going for. I want to see a little bit more power, but here we are, and Patrick Mahomes is in trouble. So,
I'd listen to you. Let's see if they do. We'll hit a couple more here, folks. I know we're at the hour, but this is fun. Glad to see the RB screen game come back. Coach reutilizes in coming weeks. Yeah, that was just to put stuff on tape and let guys do what they can do. I don't think screen game is going to be a big factor in the postseason.
It hasn't really been all season because a lot of teams can see it coming. If you watched the screens that worked, the Chargers had no clue. Like, they did a good job of scheming the very first one. They did I believe it was basically trips just going deep, and it cleared out the entire left side of the field, and every down defensive lineman and linebacker was in the backfield. Not one of them looked for the screen at all. There was no one there.
Yeah. Benjamin, he's on our list.
Oh, yeah.
I've already looked at it. Daryl, thank you again for another super chat. You're the man tonight. You're gooch.
They're gooch tonight.
You're gooch light. I like it. I will be in Tampa. I'm going to the Super Bowl. I'll be there on the 22nd of this. Congratulations. Nice. I'm going to need you to shoot some video from the stands, wherever your is. I will put it on the show. I guarantee you. I did that last season. And by the way, I've been working the last several months on a project that I shot with a great photographer in KC. I should have my own Kingdom short for you before the end of the season. Hopefully here in the next week. I think you guys are going to dig it. And for those that weren't able to participate last year in the post Super Bowl festivities, I think it'll give you a great taste of it. So just a good point. And some of that footage will come from that as well. So I'm not kidding, Daryl. I'll get you on the show, I promise. And that goes along with this question. Gary, Aaron will be on the show tomorrow night for the members live stream. I'll try to get him back on here on the main one too. Keep that in mind. Let's see. James, I'm not sure about Barry. I don't personally know his personality would work for that, but DJ would definitely be a good coach.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Twin one, I don't know Bolton yet. We'll get to there. Cole, I'm glad you're having fun because we're about, out of our minds at this point. Let's see. Tactics. You got to love Kelsey's progression in every way. Remember when he threw a flag at a ref? Yeah, remember when he did a certain maneuver that has been replayed 1,000 times that should never be on television.
Yeah, I think we all remember that.
Right? Yeah, I mean, congratulations to him. He's matured. He's catching up to his brother. His brothers always seem to be the one like, Kels, don't do that stuff.
That's exactly how I feel that brotherly relationship goes. He sees Travis doing something. He just sits in the background like, what are you doing?
Come on, little bro. Figure it out. Info, thoughts on drafting a shifty slot receiver in the Welker, Renfro, Edelman mold? Drafting? Probably not. I mean, you saw what Renfro did. He's acceptable, but is he worth the draft capital they spent on him? I can't really say that.
I mean, they use their receivers all over the field, and they kind of already have a slot receiver in McCole Hardman as a second-round draft pick. So I don't think that drafting one, especially a shifty slot guy who you could probably get on the open market pretty cheaply, is a good idea. But you never know.
Curtis, good question. Will the low cap make more 1-year cheap deals? If so, why not come here and try to win a Super Bowl? Do you think this is possible? Me personally, I think it's the opposite. I think they're going to try to get guys, younger guys, on longer term contracts that keep the salaries down and just every now and then splurge for a free agent veteran. What do you think?
It's just hard to tell because this is such a unique situation. No team's ever had to deal with this kind of thing, and the Chiefs, did everything they could to bring guys back last year. So I think that we're still going to see a little bit of that, but at some point, they're going to have some turnover in terms of some guys are going to have to leave, and whether they go and get some free agents that are going to be cheap and want a Super Bowl, I think that's definitely a possibility. And I'd personally like to see them inject a little bit more variety because this is pretty much been the same team for the last 3 years almost. It's a lot of the same guys, and not that that's a bad thing by any stretch, but I think that getting some new faces, some fresher, hungry guys that want to come win the Super Bowl would be a good idea.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ian, if Schwartz retires, if Heck is moving on from our O-line coach, which he isn't, I'd love to see Schwartz coach the O-line. His thoughts and insight on Twitter. You're absolutely right. I retweet him constantly during games. Yeah. Heck isn't going to go anywhere, though. Andy trusts him like probably no other coach on the staff other than maybe EB. So I don't see that happening.
I don't even know how old Heck is, to be honest with you, but I know that he's one heck of a offensive line coach.
Well done. Yeah, right. He'll be in Vegas all week, folks. Why are they so high on Henny? I think Moore has a better chance of winning yesterday. Aaron, I agree with you. I said that preseason that I thought Henny's contract was too much. They'll eventually get to where they agree.
I just don't get it. We watched Matt Moore operate the offense.
Right.
He won a game. He nearly won against the Packers last year. So it's a little interesting.
Adam, I'm glad you made it all the way up from Canada. Don't worry about being late. JJ Watt. Man, I don't want to give anyone hope. But this is what I talk about when everybody asks me about why go to Houston. The problem is you have Deshaun and you have JJ, and you have nothing else to build around there. Everybody on the defense is getting older. You're losing weapons on the offense. If JJ made enough of a stink about wanting out, I could see it possibly happening. But the new regime in Houston will hold him hostage for as much draft capital as humanly possible. And that's not something the Chiefs are going to do.
No, it's so true about that. The problem is that the Texans have no draft capital. They've got nothing to work with either. So they're losing players. They're losing guys they drafted. I mean, they traded away, or they took on Laramie Tunsil and traded away their draft picks for that guy who now you can see what's going on there. Deshaun Watson's not able to do much of anything, but he's still an MVP caliber quarterback. So the Texans are a very precarious situation. And like you said, unless JJ Watt just says, I want out, I don't want to be here anymore, which I don't think is happening. I think he's going to stay a Houston Texan the rest of his career.
I tend to think so too. And to that end, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, unless it's somebody that I truly trust, maybe that's Lou Riddick. I don't know about their personal relationship. Like, there's no way I'm touching that with absolutely no ability to help Deshaun at all. I'm not going there. Prolong, we talked about this. We talked about this earlier. We're both kind of feel like he deserves to be on the roster next year and see what he can make of himself.
Yeah, I think he's definitely earned a shot. He played well yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. Just driving. Glad you're good out there. Just for fun, do a video of the AFC wildcard round. Oh yeah, we're not slowing down, man. We're still gonna have content like 4 or 5 days a week. Even in the offseason, we'll have content 4 days a week. So you guys are gonna lose the live stream on Sunday nights because we don't have games. But believe me, we're gonna do mock drafts. We're gonna do arguments so we can fight over draft prospects.
Oh, we're gonna have lots of those. I can tell you that right now, guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we're both going to do as much film as we can possibly get our hands on. It's a different year this year, but we will have content for you. I guarantee it all year long. The Matrix is going to get even better because Jeff Porter is helping me do the statistical analysis, and the athleticism part is so refined at this point that I can project better than I could just 3 seasons ago. The athletic matrix is the wave of the future, and you guys will get a steady dose of it, I promise. James, do you think Bell will be back? I do not personally.
No. Damian Williams comes back next year, so that's pretty much he's going to slide right in there and do that.
Yeah. Cole, Andy Heck is 54. Okay,
thank you, Cole.
That's younger than I would have put it at, so that's
I
even
agree.
better. Aaron, Ryan is concerned about you. I always assume you're not. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I assume the worst. Okay, I'm like a be prepared for the worst kind of guy. All right. Thank you, Just Driving. I'm glad that you're safe and mind the road. Let's see. Samuel, I think we started with you. We might end with you here, bud. Have you ever heard of my guy, Drew Sears, who's an inside linebacker at Lindenwood? I've barely heard of Lindenwood, bro.
I've never heard of Lindenwood.
I'll tell you this. There's been a couple of prospects come out of there. I can't even remember their names off the top of my head. It's incredibly hard to get film from Lindenwood. If you get a chance to has somebody that has game film, send it to me. We'll break it down on the show live. I don't care. In fact, maybe that's something we'll just do. We get L22s that we can use, you guys, we'll do it live for you. And so we can just argue. It'll be fun.
I like doing that.
Gary, I don't take guys out of Missouri on purpose.
Just Chase Daniel.
Nothing against Missouri. I mean, yeah, I didn't like them when I was at KU, but seriously, like I think the biggest mistake the program made at Mizzou was going to the SEC. They'd be a power in the Big 12 if they just stayed put. I think it really derailed the whole organization, the whole program, to tell you the truth. Dan doesn't agree, and that's perfectly fine.
I mean, I think if you take an opportunity to play against better competition, you do it.
You can't recruit against those guys. There's no way.
You can't recruit against Oklahoma.
Well, I see if they had stayed, I think that might have been different is my point, but
I don't.
It is what it is.
It's Missouri.
Okay, so now I'm not the bad guy. I like that.
As much as I love the state of Missouri, it's in literally the middle of the country. You can't. It's hard. It's so hard to recruit against guys that are closer to Texas and in Florida and Georgia and in California. It's just impossible.
I knew Aaron was going to say something, and I knew that he is absolutely right to do so. Well done, Aaron. Stick up for your alma mater. I'm totally with you. Ian, does Sherman come back next year? Yes, I think that guy would play for $1 to play with Pat Mahomes.
Yes, he would.
Offensively, he hasn't seen many snaps. That's true, but he's a godsend on special teams. You're absolutely right. And quite frankly, I think he showed yesterday. 4 yards in a cloud of dust. Give him a couple of touches a game.
6.
Oh, thank you. See?
Yeah, 6 yards.
See? Even I underestimated him.
3rd and 1, he got 6 yards.
Hog Farmer, welcome back. How much trouble do you expect the Raiders to players to get into during off this? That had already happened, right?
Nope.
Jacobs got DUI tonight, so hey. Yes, draft Mizzou always. Okay, bud. All right, bro. My kids are into saying bro lately, so like it's sticking. I apologize. Jason, are the Bills the biggest threat? They're one of them, but I would still put the Steelers ahead of them just because of these specific matchups.
I do not. The Bills are 100% the biggest threat to the Chiefs, but I think you can kind of count on Josh Allen being a little bit scared of the stage until we get to that point.
Okay.
Give me Tony in this offense right now. Right now. I would draft him at 32.
Seriously?
Yes, I would.
Wow. I got to get to work. This is the hardest month of the year for me, folks. During the playoffs and the prospects. This is the toughest. So we're going to go with Dan's opinion until I say otherwise.
That's fine.
I don't have enough informed opinion yet.
I'm a huge Tony fan. Like I'd probably draft him in the top 20, to be honest with you.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I like that guy.
That's impressive. Curtis, I agree with you. And that's why I'm saying they could be dominating, but
Nebraska's in the Big Ten.
at least competing with. Yeah, that's true. I guess, and so is Iowa.
So is Iowa.
So again, I guess I'm just longing for the old Big 8 days. Sorry.
Exactly.
And yes, folks, when I played, it was still the Big 8. I'm late. Must have been covered. The linebacker out of Tulsa. Yeah, we talked about him. We'll take a good hard look, but there's going to be a heavy dose of normalization for the competition. Let's see. Dennis agrees with you. Aaron says, oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, Willie Gay's got a high ankle. You must not have seen the beginning. High ankle, 2 to 4 weeks is what they're saying right now. We'll get a better idea when they come back a week from tomorrow. Any word on Raiders? No, I haven't seen anything more on that. Okay.
Been quiet on the front.
Wednesday is fine day in the NFL, guys, so we'll see what happens. Nick Bolton, I don't know him either.
Yeah, I think he's a good prospect. I haven't seen a bunch of him. I've seen flashes here and there of Bolton, but I think that he's a guy who's also rising up boards. So I personally wouldn't spend a first-round pick on a linebacker unless you're in the top 15. And even then, you're going to have to blow me away as a linebacker prospect to get me to draft you. So if he falls into the late second round, I can see that being an option. But again, I still think that the Chiefs don't take a linebacker in the first 2 days, considering they're going to have Hitchens and Gay on the field next year.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Gary, I think you did this to trigger me, and I ain't going to let it happen. Because despite all of his personal faults, Dana Stubblefield is probably the best overall player to come play in the NFL. Gilbert Brown's up there. You can make a lot of different arguments, but at the end of the day, that's the modern era, and nobody holds a candle to Gale Sayers. No one ever will. I just don't see it happening. The modern game is just so different from what it was back in the day. But I do want to give a shout out to some guys that I know. John Jones, 2-time Super Bowl winner. I mean, Moran Norris, a kid that I coached a long time ago. Like there's plenty of KU players that have made it to the league. And I'll say this, good for them. I think that program is going to be on the up. Punty is his name. Freshman, all conference corner. They could be the next DBU. I'm just saying it out loud.
Sorry, I know you love Kansas, but they will continue to be where they are right now in the Big 12.
Dan's going to be my cold water. It'll work. Oh, okay, good. My question was answered. Okay, good, Tyler. What did you just see choosing the playoffs? Hopefully they just settle down. Yes, thank you, Andy. I got to it. I knew you would be there.
Lots of Gale Sayers.
Hog farmer, do I believe in Bigfoot? You know what's interesting is this area of Colorado is known for all the Yeti chasers. And no, I don't believe in it for a heartbeat.
I mean, I won't say I don't believe in that stuff, but again, you need to see it. Like there's got to be something. I know that there's those pictures out there that are just blurbed images, but I mean, come on now.
I will say this, there's always an explanation for most things. There are some things that just don't. So,
yep.
Hey, it's going to be what it is. For all of you that have been here, I really appreciate the time. We're well over. Andy, thanks for setting me straight, as well as Natalie and everyone else who said that I forgot Sayers. Sometimes I get long-winded. I'll get there. Dan, thanks for all of your time tonight as well.
Of course. This is, like I said, this is always fun to do, and you guys are great. I love talking to you guys. It's always so much fun.
And all you super chatters, thanks for the support. New members, make sure you get back on tomorrow night. It'll be in the community tab that I showed earlier. Check it out every day. That's where all the announcements are getting made these days. It makes it the easiest in case you don't have notifications on. So I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you a ton. We'll have stats, film, whole 9 yards, like it's a normal week kind of thing. So enjoy your week. We'll talk to you tomorrow.